This is Angela, and I've got questions for you. What opens with Hollywood bringing flowers for a friend from a friend to Vi, and what closes with Charlie bringing news to the family, and it ain't flowers. If you guess Queen Sugar season 3 episode 7, study war no more. You're correct. Thank you so much for clicking on the video or jumping on the live and sticking around to see how we get from opening to closing. I am Angela, and the channel is Be Fabulous You. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and all of those wonderful things that you wonderful people are doing to help the channel grow to 1,000 charter subscribers. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Subscribe. You subscribe, right? Subscribe. You already subscribed. Okay. Just tell your friends and family to come on and subscribe. Let's jump right in. So it's Aunt Vi's birthday. Woo! Happy birthday, Aunt Vi. And Hollywood is bringing flowers from a friend. Now, I kind of missed some of what was going on with that. But she's kind of talking to him about the meeting that she had with Mr. Rollins, I think, who owns the grocery store, who said he wanted to invest in her business the last time that they got together when she had dinner at his house with his wife. And he talking about a 60-40 contract. And Vi is like 60-40, as in 60% of the business is his and 40% of hers. And she like, it seemed like to me like I'm working for him. And Wood is like, well, that's one way of looking at it. And what's the other way of looking at it? Help me out. Help a sister out. Wood says he got Vi a gift for her birthday, and it's a box. It's a beautiful wood box, and she opens it up, and Wood is like, it's empty, because you are a woman who knows what she wants, and I'll fill that box with whatever you want. Nothing is too good for Violet Bordelon Dijolais, or whatever his last name is. And Vi is like she had this weird look on her face. And then we see Charlie. She's at a restaurant, and she sees an article where it's like, Davis West has acknowledged his 13-year-old child or whatever. And she puts the paper in her bag. She looking a little weird too. And then nephew Bordelon, that's the white nephew Bordelon. The white nephew shows up. What's his last name? The white nephew shows up, the guy she went on a date with, who they had kissed, and he's part of the family where they basically have owned the only sugar mill in town. And this is the family that used to own Charlie and Nova and Vi and Roz and Ernest's family. So he shows up. And he's like, Charlie, you are a hard woman to find. And Charlie is like, well, you here for business? And nephew is like, well, I had a good time with you the other night, and I know I scared you. And Charlie is like, no, you didn't scare me. I'm not scared. I'm taking care of my business. And why don't we just keep it business for now while I take care of what I need to take care? And the nephew is like, well, good day, Mrs. Bordelon or Miss Bordelon. And he leaves. Like, he gets super, super formal, which I'm all for. We see Ra and the ex-con, I don't know his name, but the guy who was working for him, who was living with him too, who he put out of his place, they at a restaurant. The ex-con is like, look, I'm sorry, I'm apologizing, I didn't mean no disrespect, but can I keep my job? And Ra is look, I don't play when it comes to my son, but someone gave me a second chance. So I'm going to do the same for you. And then Darla calls. Rise like, I'm good. Blue's not talking about leaving anymore. And Darla is like, well, kids and adults sometimes say things that they don't mean. So what time should I come by? And Rise like, for what? Come by for what? And Darla is like, my weekend. We're going to have breakfast. We're going to do this. I got tickets for an exhibit. I painted his room. He's really excited about the Children's Museum. Blue, yay. And Ra's like, it's Vi's birthday tomorrow. And Darla is like, you didn't say anything. And Ra's like, it came up at the last minute. And I was kind of confused by that, because I'm like, her birthday come up at the same time every year. Ra's like, it came up at the last minute, and she'll be expecting to see him, expecting to see Blue. And Darla is like, well, okay, I'll pick him up the day after for breakfast or something. She's kind of disappointed. We see Nova interviewing Mr. Prosper, and she asked him, "Did you always know that you wanted to be a farmer?" And Prosper is like, I was in the military. I wanted to see the world and to play music, and I thought about land in a way, but and I decided that I wanted to help put something positive and productive and good into the land, help God with that instead of helping Uncle Sam put dead folks into the land, dead bodies into the land. Nova is like, well, was it harder, you think, to own the land than to lease the land? Did you try to buy your land? I know it was hard for my daddy with the property taxes and stuff. And Prosper is like, yeah, it was hard to own the land. And, your daddy was under the Landry's thumb. Um, and he could only deal with the Landrys. He could only meal with the Landrys. And so he was just in a tough situation. And Nova is like, is that why you and daddy were friends? And Prosper is like, we were friends because your daddy trusted me. And then Prosper tells Nova about one night when her daddy Ernest was walking the field with a gun and he was under pressure. And basically the impression that we get is that the daddy was like considering suicide. And Nova is just like, oh my gosh, no, I mean, I just can't accept that because my daddy was strong. And Mr. Prosper is like, yeah, your daddy was hurting. And she's like, and he's like, Mr. Prosper is like, we all hurt sometimes and we go through dark places sometimes. And then Aunt Vi, she's basically ready for lunch and she hear the door open and she like, Wood, is that you? Hurry up, we gonna be late for lunch. And then Wood is like, surprise, look who's here. And I'm like, is this the person who had sent flowers before? And Vi is kind of like, well, bless your heart. When you had that fake smile, well, bless your heart, Willa Mae. And it's Wood's mom. And, she's like, Willa Mae is like, I'm not going to let a bus ride stop me from celebrating my future daughter-in-law. But she kind of got that fake smile thing going too. And then Wood, Vi goes someplace and Wood says to his mama, be nice, ma. And the ma is like, his mama is like, it ain't every day that a woman turns 60. So she still kind of got an issue with the fact that this woman is like 60 years old. How old is Wood? Is he supposed to be like 45, 50? How old is Wood? And Vi, comes back in and she pulled Wood over to the side. She's like, so where's your mama staying? And Wood is like, I ain't gonna put my mom in a hotel. And, they put the clothes up in the guest room or whatever, her bags and stuff. And then the mama's like, well, I brought you a gift. And she opened it up and it's like a tote bag, I guess, that the mama has made. And it says Vi's Prize Pies. And it looks kind of homemade, but not like in a good way, unless it's something like maybe your child made for you or maybe your mother made for you. But I don't think that Violet likes it. We see the family come into the house. It seems like it's an after lunch type thing. Charlie is there, Nova, Micah, Ra. It's like the gang's all there. Plus, it's a surprise party. So like the whole community is in the house waiting. So they done went to lunch, and when they come back, it's like surprise. And it's like party, party, party. They have one of their Queen Sugar parties, people dancing and eating and all of that kind of stuff. And then Nova and Remy exchange looks. And then Trin shows up. That's the Asian woman that Ra is dealing with, whose parents own the business that Ra works at. And then Ra had invited Trin to come to the party, and Ra is introducing her to somebody, and he's like, Trin's my and then Trin is like, we're work friends, this is my work friend. And then Trin has brought flowers for Vi, and Vi comes over and she's like, what? Hi, are these guys? Did I hear you say these flowers are for me? Well, where are your manners, Wood? I mean, not Wood. Where are your manners? Rob, blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of like it's a little tension and a little awkward, but the family is very welcoming and warm. We see folks line dancing, and Nova is off to the side, and then she's joined by Remy. And Remy is like, Rem is like, you all right? And Nova is like, it's some stuff about my daddy, and I am not feeling festive right about now. And Remy is like, you want to talk about it? And then Vi calls from, wherever, and she like, Nova? Remy? Come on! And then Remy is like, well, come on, I got moves. You seen my moves? And like they live in the same community. Nova ain't never seen them dance. And then Nova is like, after a pause, like, I think I'll just stay here. Like, I think she don't really want to be public with him. She dealing with the fact that her father may have tried to commit suicide, and she just never thought anything like that was possible. She thought strong people just never, had hard times. We see Blue and Ra playing at the party, and Trin comes up, and Ra introduces Blue to Trin, and Blue is very dry. He is not friendly at all. And Vi is like, calling from, from over yonder again. She like, Ra, could you go get some ice? We just ran out. And then Wood, is thanking his mom for being nice to Vi, even though, he say, I know, you and Vi don't always see eye to eye. And he's like, but Vi is my soulmate. And, you can't be mad because we want to have fun and be happy. I never saw you and Daddy having fun, even when Daddy was off the rig. But, we want to have fun. And the mama is like, your daddy did his best. And Wood is like, I want to treat her how you should have been treated. And I can't help the package that love comes in, nor the date that it's stamped with. And I'm not going to apologize for loving. That's what it is. But you put aside yourself for others. You can do anything you want, but you're so busy taking care of her. When are you going to take care of you, son? And then we're at the gas station. This is where Ra has gone to get ice for Aunt Vi's party, because the party is out of ice. And Blue and Trin are there. And Blue and Trin and Ra and Rock come out of the gas station. Blue has very much warmed up to Trin. They having a good old time. It looked like a family gathering. And to me, Trin and Blue's mama look very similar. So it's almost like they just plugged and played. They took out one light-skinned, long-haired woman and put another light-skinned, long-haired, racially ambiguous woman in there. An instant family they make. And we see Darla seeing the happy family scene, and then Ra sees Darla sees what's going on, and it's kind of like they just make eye contact across the parking lot or whatever. Then we see Micah and Kiki, they at the party, they making out. Vi come in the room, she like, what are you doing? Why is the door closed? Get back to the party. And then Micah's like, we were talking. Get him, Mama Violet. Get him, Aunt Vi. And then he gets a text from Aunt. Now, I think that Aunt is like the wilder member of the group of kneelers, like the one whose brother is in jail. And then Kiki is like, well, what are they up to? And Micah is like, oh, he and the crew are going to be hanging out at the levee later. You want to go? And Kiki is like, no, I think we should stay for the whole your aunt's whole party. I don't think we should be leaving. And then Micah is like, I thought you all were friends. And Kiki is like, well, we were friends back in the day. They have their way and I have mine, but you can still hang out with them. That's cool. Then we see Nova in the kitchen, and Remy comes in, and there's like this silent scene where where Nova takes Remy's hand, and they're looking at each other, and they, it's like all choreographed and everything. And then Vi, once again calling from over yonder, is like, Nova, you in there? And then Remy leave the kitchen. And then we see Charlie out in the field. She's joined by Mr. Prosper, and Mr. Prosper is like, it's a beautiful night, ain't it? And Charlie distracted by the past, or you can move on to the future. And then we see Wood and Vi, and they're on a stage. He's like, at the party, and he's toasting the birthday girl. Put your glasses in the air for the future Miss Desolé, his last name. And Vi once again is like making that like fake smile, weird looking look, like so we know it's something going on with her and that last name. We see Vi and Wood in the party after all, in the room after the party is over, after everything. And he's like ready to party, like, yes, baby, let's get to it. And Vi is like, baby, I'm tired. And Wood is like, baby, it's your birthday. You ain't never said that before. And Vi is like, well, I'm saying it now. And Wood is like, well, what did I do now? You've been acting funny style since everyone left. And then Vi is like, Wood, look, I don't want to hurt you, but the gift that I want, I already have. I want to keep my name. I'm Violet Bordelon, and I want to keep it that way, even after we are married. Not hyphenated, not getting rid of my last name, taking your last name, just Violet Bordelon. And Wood is like, you kidding? I don't ask you for much. Whatever you say is done. You don't want a big wedding, we're not having a big wedding. You don't want me to help you with the business, I'm not helping you with the business. You don't want none of my money, you ain't gonna get none of my money. All that I have left to give you is my name, and you hell-bent on showing that you don't need me. And then Violet is like, I don't need you. I don't need you. Now I want you, and I don't want your name like you own me or something. I didn't know it was that important to you. And Wood is like, well, me either, until now. And then Charlie, she's with the Mexican guy. Remember when she had car trouble and he helped her, and then he asked her out on a date. Then I think they ran into each other at the hospital when she was taking Prosper. She out with this guy, the Latino guy, and they're talking food, and his abuela, his grandmother, taught him to cook. And Charlie is like, well, do you go home much? And the guy is like, yeah, no, I don't go home much, but my family is there. I wish I could go there, but it's harder to go back and forth, and I've been stopped before, so I just focus on work. Did your Aunt Vi teach you to cook when you were growing up? And Charlie is like, no, my version of cooking is takeout, and I got that from my mom. And the guy is like, well, it's a good thing that abuela taught me to cook, for when you come over and I cook for you next time. So everybody getting them a racially ambiguous somebody. All of the siblings are getting light-skinned people. Nova getting Remy. He light-skinned it. Charlie getting the Mexican Latino guy. He racially ambiguous. Ra getting the Asian woman. She racially ambiguous. Okay. And then so they about to hook up. And then we see Wood talking to his mom, and she, and his mother is like, well, baby, I'm not surprised that a 60-year-old woman don't want to take your name. She just now getting to where she want to be. A woman comes through a battle, but she's still gonna have scars. And I want you to be happy, and I don't want you to get focused on the wrong thing. You better make sure that Vi gives you her heart, not her name. I thought that was really interesting. And then we see Wood going into Vi's office, and he's like, I'm sorry for putting you on blast at your party and everything. And Vi is like, it's okay, but I'm still not changing my name. And Wood is like, I'm not asking you to. And Vi is like, let's have a big wedding. Let's blow it out and spend that money. And Wood is like, it's gonna be spent. So they working it out. Then we see Blue and Ra, and Darla comes, and she picking the baby up for breakfast, and Blue goes into his room to get ready or whatever. And then Darla is like, we need to talk. We need an official schedule. And Ra is like, nah, we good. We don't need no schedule. And Darla is like, look, I spent the week painting the room. I got tickets for the museum. It's money I spent. I can't come to the party, and then she's like, who was she? And Ra is like, it's a work friend. And Darla is like, we need a schedule. You moving on, we need to do this right. And then Charlie, we see her with her private investigator person, and then we see Charlie with her family, and it's like the Landrys don't just want their land back, whatever. The Landrys are working with the government to build a private prison. They need our land to complete the deal. And then Ra's like, they're gonna take our daddy's land and build a jail on it, which is kind of jacked up. It's messed up. But that's it. That's the end of the episode. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm going to catch up. Trust and believe. Believe and trust. Today is the best day ever, and you are the greatest. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous. You. Peace.